Hi, I'm Lance Lambert. Thanks for tuning into the Vintage Vehicle Show. We are in Jamul, California at Simpson's Nursery. This is a great big nursery, and within this great big nursery are a couple of great big buildings full of great old cars. You're going to have a chance to see those cars and hear all about them. And who are you going to hear about them from? Well, Lee and Kathy Smith are going to tell us all about it. This is their collection. How you doing?
Good.
Thank you very much for having us.
Nice to see you.
How did this all come about?
Well, the cars started when we were using trucks out here on the nursery, and we decided, why don't we get some older vehicles, because it's kind of a country atmosphere. And so we did. We bought one old truck. And I heard a lady tell her husband, we used to own one of those cars. Remember, honey, when you put it in the ditch and about killed us? And I got to thinking, if we had a bunch of these around here, the people would talk, and it would maybe bring more people out just for nostalgia. And they might even shop a little bit while they're here.
And I understand that you host a lot of car events here.
Yeah, our car events are held up in the back of the nursery. We offer the facilities free to the car clubs as long as they're doing something charitable or for club-oriented situation. And we do about one a weekend, maybe 30 or 40 a year.
Mm-hmm. And this is a couple thing. Kathy, your love of cars is just as strong as Lee's.
Yeah, if they're red, I usually bought them.
I noticed a lot of red things around this, so that's great.
Right.
Well, can we take a look at your collection?
You bet. Let's go look.
Let's go look.
Okay.
Lee, your collection here is just gorgeous and extensive. And one of the first cars that caught my eye because it's red and because it greets you as you come through the door in this particular building and because it's a tow truck, this 29 Ford tow truck. How did this come into your collection?
Well, thank you for all the nice compliments. The tow truck was one we were looking for, and we've been looking in publications and things, and so we were looking through one of the larger publications and spotted a tow truck. Had a local phone number. We called it up, and the guy was here on the coast in San Diego, went down, covered with a tarp, dusty, dirty, and I'm not as mechanical as most of the guys are. So I just take a can of wax and a towel, and when it shines up, we buy it.
So if there's a shine there, it becomes yours.
Right. He couldn't get it started. He couldn't do anything, and we said, nah, we'll just go ahead and do it, because we were looking for a large tow truck that we could display here. It's kind of fun.
Did you get any background on it, where it was a tow truck, what kind of service it did?
No, he didn't have any of the service and things of that nature, but he had used it down there in parades and different functions that they had, and he restored it. Him and his son restored it, and that's how they ended up with it. But they got way in over their head, and that's the reason they wanted to move the vehicle.
So you helped them out?
Yeah, we're glad to help them out every once in a while.
Yeah, that's great. Well, this is an unusual car. Right next to it, we have another unusual car. Let's take a look at that. Lee, we've had some Ford Speedsters on the show before, and the thing that I like about them is these are early, if not the earliest, real hot rods. How did this come into your collection?
Well, for some reason, a lot of the vehicles we end up with seem to find us. And a friend of the family came by one day with some pictures wanting to sell this for a friend. And Kathy told me that we really have enough cars at this point. And I said, well, let me take the pictures up to her and show her. and maybe I can convince her that we need a yellow Speedster. So I did, and came back down, and by the time I had gotten down and said yes, the man had dropped the price in the meantime for us, which was kind of cool. He knew us, and he wanted the car to have a really good home, and that's how we ended up with it.
So Kathy came to her senses and realized you did need one more car in the collection.
Right, right, absolutely. And when she told me I couldn't have any more cars at one point, I went out and bought a vintage boat. So I was able to circumvent the situation.
And she thought, not boats, get back into cars.
Right,
So very good psychology.
right.
Have you had a chance to drive this? Do you get it in parades or shows?
We take it out on the property here. After we close the nursery at night, we take it out, and we do about 35, 45 on the little dirt roads here. Then we take it up top and do it on the pavement. It's a real kick.
The grounds here, they're huge. How many acres is the layout?
The nursery's 25 acres.
So you get to do that a lot then, take these cars out and just kind of go for a cruise through your own property?
Right, and then we built a little town up and back by our house. It's all paved street with funny names on the street signs and stuff. And that way we get to exercise things, because we don't always get into town with the cars.
That's great. You have another truck around the corner that it's also yellow and it's pretty neat. Can we take a look at that?
You bet. We'll go over there and look.
All right. The yellow Speedster was built for fun and speed. The yellow truck, I think, was built for business. This was to go out and get some work done, right?
Right. This was more of a commercial style vehicle for its day. We acquired this truck. I had a lady call me one night at home about 10 o'clock, got our phone number, and said, "Grandpa wants to sell his old truck. Would you please come out and look at it?" And it was in a little town east of here, about 20 miles. So we drove out the following evening, took a look at the truck, and decided that it would be nice to have here. It has a little history, being it was around here, used in parades and some of the hauling when they were first owners of it. But he wanted me to drive it home, and it was dark. It was like 9 o'clock. The roads are winding. I said, "No, I'll be back tomorrow to pick it up."
So you went back and got it.
We came back the next day, and there it was out on the driveway, ready to go for us.
The warm and fuzzy factor on Model A's and Model T's, I would think when you're in parades or anything you're involved in where you're displaying this, you're getting a lot of thumbs up and everybody's just loving it and the kids are loving it.
The cars are really an icebreaker for just about everything that you can do. The thing about the Model A's is it has its unique sound. It's kind of like a Harley motorcycle or one of those. There's nothing that sounds more tuned than a Model A engine.
How is the performance on this? Do you have to be real careful and stay to the side when you're going down the freeway, or does it kind of keep up with traffic?
We can kind of keep up. Most of the Model A's will do 50 without too much trouble, as long as you're all put together and ready there. And most people are very respectful for it. They wave, they give you plenty of room, they understand that you're driving something that's, you know, almost 75, 80 years old.
Mm-hmm. And speaking of speed, we have something in another building here that is quite a leap forward, both in years and performance. Let's go take a look at it. Now the truck you said would do about 55 on the freeway. This one looks like it'll do about 155 on the freeway. Tell us about this car.
This is a very fast car. It's probably the fastest car we have in the collection.
1970 Cuda.
Right. It's 340, 4-speed, slapstick, 6-pack, big scatter shield underneath. This is one where you have to kind of want not to go too fast so we don't have Johnny Law after us here a little bit. But we bought this to add to our muscle car collection because we had Model A's and Model T's, and we decided we want to go a little faster.
And being subtle like this, police probably don't even notice it out on the road.
No, they don't notice it too much. No, you know, they really respect the car guys. I think they sometimes get a bad rap, but I think it's great. They give us a lot of thumbs up, and they do a lot of that. But this was originally a 6-cylinder car, so we're fortunate to have it redone with the 340. We
talked about how the truck was a warm and fuzzy kind of kids thumbs up sort of car. What kind of reaction do you get from the general public on this?
They always want to know how fast it goes. Yeah, they want to know how fast we've driven it, those kinds of things. And, you know, they never ask us if it stops. That's one of the things that we're always curious to let them know.
It's interesting how of this era, Fords and Chevs were considered the cars to get, and if you didn't get one of those, it was okay to go ahead and get a Chrysler product, you know, a Mopar, Plymouth, or Dodge, or whatever. And as time has passed, the value of these and the desirability of these has, I think, more than equaled the Fords and Chevs and surpassed them. Everybody wants these now.
Yeah, the Mopars are now very desirable. You can tell by the prices that people are asking today. You don't see as many Mopars here on the West Coast, though. They seem to be more in the southwest. In fact, when you need parts and stuff, there's some people back there. That's where we usually have to go. But they've become really popular.
There's a car here. Well, we had the truck that was all business and a bit conservative. We have this that is a real hot rod, but we have just down the line here something that was a real kind of upscale family car, something that served a lot of purposes. Can we take a look at that?
Yes, we can.
All right. Now, Lee, this is a family car. This is pretty classy, but also you can put the kids in the back seat and the dog and all the stuff on the back end of this. How did this come into your collection, this 53 Buick?
Well, one of our old customers had this car for 20 years unrestored, and he kept telling me about that he wanted restored, and finally decided, I'm not going to be able to do it. Would you guys be interested? And I said, sure, I'll come over and look at it. So Kathy and I drove over, and we got there. It was under a blue tarp, 4 flat tires. We took off the blue tarp. There was so much water coming out from under that tarp. It was amazing. Duct tape everywhere. I mean, the car was just a mess. But we looked at each other and said, do we want to do this? And she said, sure, let's do it. So anyway, we dragged this car home on a flatbed tow truck. And in the interim, the tow truck had to go back 4 more times because of all the parts and pieces this fellow had. So we brought it all home, sat it in the garage, and then we got a couple chairs, sat down, and stared at it for 3 months.
Mm-hmm. And just decided what it needed to have done to it?
Sure. We weren't sure where to start. We were looking at it. We knew the wood had to be done. We knew this had to be done. So finally, after 3 months, we decided we're going to go for it. And we just started taking it apart. Our friend Jerry helped us, and we started taking things apart, sanding things, doing things, and that's where it began.
I notice you have the 3-hole model here.
Yeah, this is the Super Estate Wagon versus the Roadmaster. Mm-hmm. Difference being, this is the last year of the Woody, first year of the V8, so it has a 322 nail head in it, Dynaflow transmission, and on the estate wagons, what's different is they're a 2-barrel carburetor versus the Roadmaster. He has the extra porthole, and it has a 4-barrel and a little extra chrome on the back.
Mm-hmm. Well, this is it's kind of a high-end station wagon because of the wood on it and all, but it's kind of a business. It's a family car. You need it to haul stuff and haul the family. There's another car just beyond this that is fun is the #1 thing in this car. It's just made for fun. Let's take a look at it.
Okay.
A practical family car with a wagon. This could be a family car, but this is when you're out on a Sunday drive going to have a lot of fun with the kids in the back seat and mom and dad in the front seat. How did this come into your collection, this 48 Dodge?
Customer came in again one day, had it advertised in one of the publications, but people were being a little hard on him. So he came out and offered the vehicle to us. And I said, well, I don't even know what a 48 Dodge convertible looks like. I said, I'd sure like to see it. And he said, well, come over to the house and take a look and see what you think. And so we drove over to his home here in El Cajon, and he had it parked out on the lawn with the top down, all polished, just sitting out there on the bright green grass. And so we drove down the cul-de-sac and turned around, and my wife says, we ought to buy it. Mm-hmm. So that's how we ended up with the thing. But he wouldn't let me drive it home. He said, look, you've never driven this car. You have to have it towed home on a flatbed because you've never driven it. So I want you to go home, take it on a flatbed, then practice before you drive it. That's the only way I'll sell it to you for.
That's probably good advice.
Probably, yeah.
We've been exchanging some stories off camera about the buying and selling of cars, and you made an interesting point that we both have experienced where you have a car for sale and somebody comes out with some interest in buying the car, and they spend the whole time telling you what a rotten car it is and how, you know, and we've both done the same thing where we have decided that, sorry, the car is not for sale at any price. So why do you think people approach you that way?
I think they're trying to get a better deal than what's being offered, and I don't really think they realize what they're saying and what they're doing. I think that you get a lot further ahead if you were just to take and look at the car, sum it up, see if it fits your budget, see if it's in the shape that you want, because that may be very dear to somebody. It may have been grandpa's, it may have been a person who has other passed away, maybe a wife or a child may have been involved with it. And once you attack somebody's integrity that way, they're going to clam right up, they're going to pull the car off the market and not be as receptive to the guy who comes in and just admires the car for what it is. And if the price is too high, he he just walks away.
Or he says, I love your car, this is the budget I have to work with, can we do the deal? And yes or no.
That's right, and it's being honest. That's the way we would like to see people do things. I have this much to spend, are you willing to sell your car for this price? And that, it works much better that way. We've bought a lot of cars that way. We don't beat people up, never have. They've offered us the vehicles. If it fits our budget, we usually move on it.
I've noticed in your collection here, you have a lot of 40 Fords. You have a real place in your heart for 40 Fords. Shall we go take a look at one of those?
Yeah, I love those 40 Fords.
All right, let's go look. Lee, you obviously have a real love for 1940 Fords. You have a line of them here, and here you have one that just looks very traditional for a 40 Ford hot rod.
Yeah, this one came about as a 40th birthday present from my wife. I just love 40 Fords, always have. And I saw it in the paper one day, and we went and looked at it, and she said, you could have it. So that's what she bought me for my 40th birthday.
Stay married to her.
Yeah, she's really good about letting us have the cars. And 40 Fords are just the greatest. I think they're the best looking car Ford made.
Why do you think they are such an icon of the hot rod world?
It's just the swoop look, you know, the top. You can drop the front, you can raise the back, you can hop up the old flatheads. They're real desirable nowadays because you can drop the modern drivetrains in them, and they still look real stock. And the grill, obviously, the grills are just an absolute giveaway.
You have coupes, you have sedans, you have trucks. What's your favorite?
My favorite is my 40 Coupe. That's the favorite. I would like to have a Woody also, and I'd like to have a convertible, just so we can finish out the collection on the 1940 Fords.
Well, this is an icon of the hot rod community. You have a car down the line that is about as far as you can get from an icon of the hot rod community, though that's changing a little bit, but it is definitely not something that somebody thinks of as a representation of the hot rod community. Can we take a look at that?
Yeah, let's go look.
All right. Not a hot rod by any stretch of the imagination, but I love Studebakers. I think they're just so cool. So what's the story on this one?
Well, the Studi here really wasn't going to come to this collection because my wife does not like the Studebaker. But our good family friend had it for sale, and I told her, I said, this is unique, it's unusual. She thought we were buying the one with the bullet nose, but we got the Commander, the earlier one.
This is the 48.
Right, 48, and they came out without the bullet nose at this point, which is a little bit more unusual, and most people that come in don't recognize it as a Studebaker. But we decided it would be a nice conversation piece for the collection.
So I've made reference to Kathy being a pretty good wife, but this probably put a real strain on the relationship that she didn't want you to own a yellow Studebaker?
Yeah, only for about 5 minutes,
Yeah.
because she understood, and our good friend Jim, he needed room in his barn, so it was our turn.
Why do you think it is that these were, you know, the car going the wrong way, and they were, you know, Pluto and the Disney cartoons would be driving a Studebaker, and Fozzie Bear on the Muppets they were made fun of, and then all of a sudden everybody decided that this body style of the Studebaker was okay. Why did that happen, do you think?
I think enough of the cartoon and stuff brought it out of its whatever you want to call, out of its cocoon maybe, where people really recognized it. Before they didn't really pay that much attention to it, and they probably thought they could use it and it'd be more of a conversation piece now that it had enough publicity through that.
And then the car community, the hot rod community especially, is finally kind of wising up to the fact that it doesn't have to be one of the big three, and as a lot of those older cars are less available, they started thinking, well, what else is out there, and hey, let's take a chance on the Studebaker, and everybody decided, hey, that's okay.
Yeah, they've become real popular with the modern drivetrains. They've done a lot of different stuff to them, and I think a lot of times, I mean, the 40 Fords are great and some of those kinds of cars, but sometimes to be just a little bit unique, I think, is what hot rodding's all about.
Lee and Kathy, we have had so much fun here at the Simpsons Nursery. This is just wonderful. Thank you for your hospitality.
Well, we sure
you.
appreciate it.
And if people want to come see this collection, when is it available for them to see?
The collection's open every day from 8:30 to 4:30, and it's free to come in, walk around, and enjoy. We're glad to have everybody.
Okay, great. And I appreciate the great deal you cut me on this 48 Dodge convertible.
I hope it gets you back.
Okay. All
We'll
right.
see ya.
See ya. Bye-bye.
Bye.